welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello again, everyone. Happy, what day is today? Sunday, right? It's the chicken show. Dun, 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 dun. It's time to get things started. It's time to put things right. Happy middle of July, I guess. Here we are, 16th of July. I'm a little disappointed in that we're having a bit of a brain fart here with our broader market breadth readings right now. My apologies to site members over that snafu. But on balance, the portfolio, or no, that's not the right word, platform, humming along here. Again, a bunch of funny, weird things happening in the internet land. I suppose you could argue with the Canadians, good example. They're going and basically trying to censor the internet and news feeds and all that, podcasts, and what you hear from all these people. I mean, everything's in flux right now, and I suppose they make the argument that the world that we knew prior to this sickness nonsense and the world after it are actually going to be a very, very different world. Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter conjunct and all that. Once every, I think it's literally like 300 years or something like that. Very, very long cycles. There's supposed to be something like 6 or 7 different celestial events, and they're kind of like, they always talk about the 7 horses of the apocalypse kind of thing, right? And you can see what that idiot over in Eastern Europe is doing. I mean, there's your war apocalypse. One of the, I guess, the war horsemen. Pestilence, disease, famine, the whole thing. I think we definitely are the world itself, the fabric of our society. You can literally see it changing on a daily basis as these baby boomers slowly extricate themselves from our society. And once they get into sort of their retirement years and their retirement sort of mindset, they're not really a part of the economy. And unfortunately, my generation, Gen X, we kind of got lost in the shadows, and we don't really have an identity. And you can see the new generations, the millennials and stuff, trying to basically establish themselves. And wow, I mean, literally on a daily basis, you can see the whole fabric of everything is being shifted. And of course, remember, the 1%, they're going to try and take advantage of this as much as possible. I don't think any of this is new. It's actually pretty common knowledge. If anything, probably, like Freemasons, all the secret societies and stuff like that, they probably all set their watches to this stuff. And they have a pretty good idea exactly where we are in these cycles and what should happen next and all that. But unfortunately, the public is kind of just kept in the dark over all this. But anyway, I think each and every one of you, I suppose you could argue even the advent of these, social media and this online world. Interesting to actually know who the actual controllers of something like Google really are nowadays. It'd be fascinating to just be a fly on the wall at one of their boardrooms and just see who the people are that are dictating the direction all of this is going. It's fascinating, eh? Anyway, so I'll try my best here to, maybe enlighten you a little bit. I've got about a 30, 40 years experience, probably, let's call it 35. I got my first job in the stock market in 1988. So yeah, that's a good 30, 35 years. Um, I will say, in that 35 years that I've played the market, this is by far the most difficult market state that I've seen. And unfortunately, we're dealing with the ramifications of the people that are running our society unilaterally deciding that the collective standard of living everybody should be reduced. And sadly, once you get these sort of snowballs rolling down the hill, very, very hard to stop. And we also live in a world of these democratically elected politicians. I mean, what politician is going to stand up in front of a prospective voting audience and say, I'm going to raise your taxes. I'm going to instill fiscal responsibility. I'm going to bring back value to the currency unit that we all collectively use. We happen to call them dollars right now, but you can call them tiddlywinks. It doesn't really matter. Societies thousands of years ago used to use seashells for currency. Others used to use beads. It just so happens that this particular world that we live in, we use these things called dollars. But who knows how long that's going to last. Um, so we're in a very, very challenging time for society. We're in this generational shift. So all the old rules of that old generation are just being basically thrown out the window. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm absolutely shocked at number one, how much attention such a small group in our society, like these people that believe that they are one sex, but they were born into another sex. I'm shocked at how much attention this issue is getting in our society. Quite remarkable, and I think that's a good anecdote that there's a bit of a vacuum, and the vacuum is trying to be filled with something. And of course, they always say, "Squeaky wheel gets the grease." One thing I did notice, just sitting over the weekend, one person on the site's kind of like, "Brian, you seem a little sanguine these days." I'll tell you, between the hyperinflation and in my country, it's just horrible. Thankfully, it looks like people in the States, they've got a little bit. They believe it or not, I actually think a guy like Chappelle, believe it or not, actually, I think he's a hard money guy, and he actually, I think, is actually pretty embarrassed by how all these MMT people kind of suckered him into actually believing that money actually, well, maybe we're going to redefine the definition of money. Yeah, right. Um, so we're in this odd vacuum period right now. Um, and It's remarkable to see all the sort of the tug of war that's going on in this funny society right now. And like I said, seven horses of the apocalypse, whether you have all these celestial events all coming together ahead, all collectively at once, and they are the disease, right, and the sickness, war, pestilence, probably famine. I'm hearing that the American farmers are suffering through a staggering drought. Keep in mind, the 1930s, there was a Dust Bowl in the United States. It wouldn't shock me if we have to go through something like that again, once every 80 years. Um, I would actually argue that, even the definition of money and the financial system, that's one of those horsemen. And the hyperinflation that you're seeing right now is purely nothing more than just a function of the cycle. As what's bothersome, like I said earlier, whether it be the Freemasons or whatever secret cult, World Economic Forum, they're basically the same thing. This is all along the lines of Klaus and his great reset nonsense. So there's your backdrop to the environment that we're in right now. And if anything, maybe this makes sense. I mean, we're having a slight problem with our algo right now. It's up and down like a horse drawers right now, not really giving clear signals. That's a function of something's wrong in our engine. But if anything, probably a good anecdote of how screwy. You want to see how screwy this world is right now? This is a really good analogy of it. This is how absolutely screwy this world is. The headlines are gold steady, supported by easing worries over US inflation. What? That makes no sense. Hey, the person who wrote that, this is why you can't listen to the media. This is why you can't listen to the news. This guy, whoever this person is, news wires, whoever this guy, they have a job, right? And they get paid. You are supposed to come to work 9 to 5. And every single day there must be a headline in the newspaper, right? And these people pay us to get the news. And so what ends up happening is if they can't explain why the gold price is ticking higher, they come up with the craziest ass headlines to justify what they're seeing in the marketplace. And it's just total stupidity. So I do find it kind of interesting that in this environment where we can't figure out whether we're at the end of the inflationary spiral or it's just beginning, these people are all kind of like, I don't know, just make up anything. All right, gold steady because inflation's falling. What? That doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, one thing I do like is Chris and I, we sort of tried to put together this weekly newsletter. You get this newsletter for free if you want it. Just all we ask is that you just pop on over, do this little form. And actually, I do see quite a few people signing up for it. I don't know what the number is officially now, but not only does this have a direct link to the Broiler Chicken Show that we'll do, and Chris said that he can already start to see a couple things that he'll fix up here while I'm on the road with Liam here this afternoon. But I think on balance, this is a really handy little guide. So we give you an idea of what the hell happened in the past week, what were the major news events, then of course, if our breadth signal is operating correctly, and actually you can see the crypto signaling is operating fairly smoothly. So if anything, that's a good thing. I know most of you in the audience are crypto related. So what we're seeing out of crypto, the signals here, I think are pretty relevant. But I think on balance, this document, I think summarizes the market nicely. I don't know whether you noticed, Chris, but we have to change LTC here. You might want to write that down. You can tell that we just whipped it together before the show. Can you see that, Chris? Just acknowledge that you can see that. All right. Because, clearly the trade of the week was all about Cripple and the federal judge's ruling. I wouldn't necessarily say that they put the issue to bed. But I think definitely Cripple and its audience got a big shot in the arm this past week. And of course, Mr. Gensler. In fact, actually, I saw one. Let's see. I don't know whether I can do this or not. But I did see one interesting. I can't do it over here, can I? I'm probably just going to mess all this up. I did see one very interesting little YouTube short thing that actually talked about how there's a gentleman in the US House who is putting forth a bill to reorganize the Securities and Exchange Commission, which I thought was fascinating, but it just goes to show, we have talked a little bit about this Mr. Gensler guy. And how, frankly speaking, I don't think he's actually up for the job as a SEC chairman. And actually what they were proposing to do, and who knows if it'll pass or not. No, Sean, anybody can sign up for this. Right? All I got to do is just go to that tiny URL I showed you. Right? In fact, maybe Chris, I think, Chris, you put this in the description of the video, don't you? I don't know whether the people watching the YouTube video can actually hear your voice or not. I know sometimes when I watch these videos, I'll ask you a question. I'll watch it back and they can't hear you. So I think if it is possible, I'd love for you to be on the video if you don't mind. So when I do ask you a question, the audience hears your voice. But I don't know. It's up to you, I suppose. But anyway, this video, this link here to the newsletter should be right on the video description. All right, what we do? We go comment below, hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell, all that kind of fun stuff. Mind you, as you can see by the number of viewers and the number of viewers of our channel and stuff, I'm just either I'm being officially stifled or silenced or I don't know, blackballed or something like that, or I'm not very good at this, the way that this YouTube thing is supposed to go down because we just can't seem to get over that sort of magic threshold where sort of everybody in the public actually even knows about this. I would imagine most people in the public don't even know about this video. Might also be a very good commentary on the fact that I spend half the video just blabbing away endlessly about nothing. But anyway, it is what it is. So in the video description, you can click on that link right there and you can get this document in your email. It's kind of cool and it's free, of course. So we talked a little bit, the news headlines this week that Chris and I sort of figured were noteworthy. And I think we've talked about this lots, so it's certainly not a new argument. I don't think we should be expecting the U.S. Federal Reserve Board, or frankly, not speaking, any of these central banks around the world to be lowering interest rates anytime soon. I think that the world got sort of kind of suckered into believing that, zero interest rates on short-term policy was actually normal. That was actually, believe it or not, exceptionally abnormal. And the only reason why they did that, in my humble opinion, was because how do you say this? 2008 should have been like 1928. 2020 or 1929, of course, we all remember stock market crash, Great Depression for the next 10 years. Only way out of the depression was a massive global war. I would actually make the argument that history is just basically repeating itself. Although this time around, the banksters, they didn't want to take the losses seen in 1929 when all the banks, of course, went bankrupt. So they convinced the powers that be that the best solution was to dilute the purchasing power of the currency and basically destroy everybody's standard of living. You could make the argument that we've been in a relative Great Depression, but we don't have falling asset prices, which is pretty depressing, to be honest with you, because a guy who's just trying to like save a couple bucks and he wants to buy something, the price of whatever it is you're trying to buy just keeps getting further and further and further away from you. You have to just keep making more and more and more money to pretty much just buy the same asset. And I've shown you guys this before. It shouldn't be rocket science to anybody. But if you just look at something like the Dow Jones Industrial Average, I'll keep it nice and simple. Although I'm not quite sure what the hell the damn symbol is. Actually, I think they use like DJI here on TradingView. If we just do a simple comparison, I mean, this is what you think our society is doing. This is what you think that the stock market's doing. And of course, if you want to sort of gauge yourself on sort of relative performance, hey, I bought that house and the house has gone up 2 or 3-fold. I bought my stocks and my stock portfolios and they've gone up 2 or 3-fold. Hey, I'm a rich guy. I'm a millionaire now. Well, in reality, sadly, if we compare this relative to the actual money supply, you actually see that actually we haven't even gotten back. This is shocking, right? I mean, this is how corrupt the whole damn thing is. Here is 9/11. Now, why would Brian make reference to 9/11? Didn't something happen in 9/11? Well, wait, and then like literally a day or two before this event, the then I think he was the Secretary of Defense. I can't even remember. Anyway, a guy by the name of Donald Rumsfeld comes out and says, "Oh, we've mysteriously lost $1.2 trillion and we can't seem to find it. And we're gonna just be perfectly safe and secure. We're gonna put all of the auditable records so we can figure out where this money. We're gonna put them into the largest office building in New York City. Does anybody have any idea what that might be? I mean, it's just that I always used to say, and I used to have a broker buddy of mine. He used to. This was his line, Jack. He used to always say this, you can't write better fiction than reality. It is absolutely impossible to write better fiction than reality. So, you could, interestingly enough, we could probably even go, let's do three here, and let's throw on the Great Depression. So, actually, maybe this thing doesn't go back that far. We'll have to get rid of the M2 money supply stuff because way back then, it was sacrilegious to fuck around with your money supply. So you can kind of see here is 1920s, and they weren't allowed to fuck around with the money supply. So this was actually a pretty good measure of what things were worth and what sort of the richness factor. I don't know what that word would be of your society. So, oh, we're all rich here. Look at us. And then, oh, we're all poor. Oh, we're all poor. And look how long it took to actually get to the point where, okay, we're now back to the peak of that generational cycle. 1955. Holy crap. 25 years until we could actually get to the point where we say, okay, you know what? We're this society, the actual value of the assets, the value of the economy, it's actually at the old high water mark. And of course, this is that nifty 50s. The days of Camelot was all in here. But in essence, this was all the people that fought the Second World War. They came back from the Second World War. They called it the greatest generation. There's actually another name for it. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Anyway, so George Bush Sr., when he was a young man in Dallas, Texas, waiting by book repositories for certain gentlemen to be driving around the corners. Fascinating how Mr. Bush Sr. was on the ground in Dallas, Texas, the day that happened. Coincidence? I wonder. Anyway, the point here is that you can see how long it took for this thing to eventually get going and unwind the mess of the previous growth cycle. And you can also make the argument, same sort of thing happened in here. So this was George Bush Sr.'s sort of heyday, their growth cycle. And then, of course, a guy named Tricky Dick, although that wasn't his real name. Anyway, he came along, changed all the rules in here because he saw that, are we going to have to go through another one of these things? And this was sort of the beginning of the, hey, we're going to F around with what this thing is actually priced in just to make damn sure it doesn't collapse. And so its sort of regression phase was actually relatively muted. The market went more sideways. But of course, it's interesting how we can't measure this M2 sort of wise. What they did was they basically took the US dollar off the gold standard. And a fun assignment for you is to go back and look into what happened in 1941, what happened in 1971, It's a very popular sort of, in fact, here, I'll just even do it now. What happened 1971? Where there's lots and lots of, something happened in our society. I mean, geez, look at this one, eh? Kaboom! I don't know what the hell that is. Here, this is, yeah, that's a better one. So you can see wages just basically stopped, but productivity went through the roof. I don't know about that. But prices of everything just absolutely just kept charging higher, even though sort of our standard of living was sacrificed. And of course, this is all about Tricky Dick taking basically the world off of money is actually worth something. And now we live in a world where, remember I said earlier, this snowball just keeps going and going and going. I don't know where the hell this damn snowball is going to end. And really, I might argue that, unfortunately, we've said this to you before. The end of this might easily be something like, a loaf of bread's $50 a loaf, $100 a loaf, $200 a loaf, $500 a loaf. Takes a whole fucking wheelbarrow of money to buy a loaf of bread. That's what happened in Weimar, Germany. Then they had to do some sort of great reset, and then you have these totalitarian dictators that come in and tens of millions of people get murdered because these stupid humans just act absolutely ridiculous. And then we start the whole damn game all over again. So anyway, the sort of the wheels started falling off the bus then. Where was that chart? Got all worked up there. I'm not quite sure how I got off on this tangent, but was it over here? Oh, darn. I lost. Where did my Dow charts go? Oh, that's weird. Maybe I had it over here. Not bizarre. Oh, there it is. There we go. All right. So, you look at this now and you're like, well, Brian, I don't see a problem. Looks to me like everything's fine. Well, that's because the powers of bees actually have gone and fucked with this thing that we actually price these things in, which you're not supposed to do. If you go to any economics 101 school, you're not supposed to F with the money supply. You F with the money supply, you're asking for trouble. So is this reality? Well, actually, no, it isn't. It's not even remotely reality. Here's our reality. So it's fascinating that we're just, all of this, what we've seen here recently, there is your sickness event. And of course, shouldn't we debate mortgaging our kids' future? Shut the fuck up and give them all the money that they want, right? But we're not really going anywhere here. It's just, when does a loaf of bread actually stop topping up? You want to hear something that's absolutely criminal? Turns out in my country, my dear leaders, the grocery stores themselves actually got together and colluded to fix the price of wheat. It was all intentional. This is criminal behavior. We used to actually put laws into place that you weren't allowed to F over the public. This is half the reason why we had, this sort of fight over monopolies and oligopolistic behavior. And it's all been completely unwound. I mean, what are you saying? The funny thing is, I remember going into the grocery store and actually like almost literally swearing at this grocery store managers saying, why are you taking advantage of the public like this? And they all look at me like I'm from another planet and go, well, this is inflation. This is all about the sickness. This is all about, the war in Ukraine. Fuck you. No, it isn't. This is about how can we as the 1% screw the public over as much as possible. That's what this is all about. And it's really sad. Really, really sad. Yeah, so Andre even says there, what happened to all that antitrust laws and consumer advocate? I mean, where the hell is Ralph Nader type people in this world? It's like they've all been completely silenced. Shocking, really. So, if anybody's going to try and convince you that this time it's different, no, it isn't. It's exactly the same as always. I don't know how long, remember we said that it took 25 years for the real economy to actually get back to sort of what the standard of living was at the peak of the previous cycle. For Pete's sake, people, don't get conned into this bullshit. This is not real. This is all a lie. And this is probably why, people like Google and stuff try to stifle me and try and, just make damn sure that guy doesn't get any followers and, his message doesn't get any snowball, because this is a lie. That's the easiest way to describe it. It's just basically a lie. So here's an interesting conundrum. I think the gentleman that basically manages the largest, mutual fund, to a certain degree, hedge funds, asset block, if you will, in the world, he's trying to tell you that the lie is being exposed. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not. Now, in this screwy world, the only way these the only way that we measure reality is the prices that are paid for things. That seems to be the only way that reality is measured. So I thought it was really interesting. Most gold bugs, they get all excited about the fact that gold rallied into 1980 here. But interestingly enough, I might make the argument that the really big rally and bull market in gold was actually in this window here. This is sort of like, is this real? Oh my God, people are panicking, but this isn't sustainable. But this is sort of the market and the world accepting the fact that we don't live in this world anymore. We now live in this world. And you might even argue, seeing this wide base, right? And then you look over time. Yeah, we did come down and challenge these lows, but to all intents and purposes, this was the base. So where am I going with this? The point here is, if we actually look at something like Newmont, the biggest gold company in the world, remember, companies, right? They derive their assets. Look at what Newmont did through this window. Wow. So this is the acceptance by our world that, well, actually, this is our new money system, not this system over here, this system here. And then these companies that are in the business of these underlying assets, their prices just go absolutely crazy. So I get the impression right now that relatively speaking, in these cycles, that we're sort of like, I might even make the argument that we're kind of like in maybe like down in this area right here right now. And actually, this is what we have staring us in the face. And I think a lot of asset managers know this. I don't know whether Bitcoin can actually see new all-time highs, because keep in mind, Bitcoin's supposed to price off of the cost of production. And I hear a lot of people, especially a lot of people who don't understand the mechanics of Bitcoin. They say that, oh, well, there's a fixed supply, but really there's no value to this. Yeah, there could be 21 million that are out, and wait, what's the value of this? It's really, really simple. The value is the cost of production. And I might argue that that's exactly the same thing that happened here with gold. It wasn't necessarily that gold was so much more valuable, but actually pulling an ounce of gold out of the ground relative to all the rising costs all around your society, whether it be fuel costs, whether it be employment costs, whether it be just raw materials going into, like, if you build a mine, well, you got to put up wood beams. So the price of those wood beams and stuff, and you got to, pay for the carts that are made out of iron and the wheels and shit to haul the ore around. I mean, everything goes up in price. So pull an ounce of gold out of the ground, it's going to cost you much, much more than way back here. So you could justify the price of an ounce of gold going up, because how much does it cost to pull the gold out of the ground? I make the same argument with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, of course, has a built-in cost of production mechanism that really doesn't run out of steam until something like, I think it's like 2150 or some crazy ass number like that. So if anything, this kind of image here should be very, very bullish of the crypto stocks. I mean, if anything, that's where I think the fortunes are going to be made in this particular cycle. Because now, keep in mind, this was that fear cycle. Remember, we talked the age of Camelot and then Tricky Dick coming along, fucking with all the world economics, taking the Americans off the gold standard. This was the fear cycle. And the end of that fear cycle, the baby boomers coming into their formative years, this was their growth cycle. And this growth cycle went on and on and on. And you can see what things like Newmont did at the very beginning of their growth cycle. Now, Newmont did calm down and, we sort of backed off and came back down to cost of production numbers. That's the way gold usually acts. But in this initial phase here, I think you could see some pretty dramatic fireworks out of things like gold stocks. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if, the crypto story actually looks very similar to something like this over the next 10, 20 years. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And I do think that, companies like Riot, I don't know if you've ever seen that, these kind of guys, I think, are going to do very, very well in this particular cycle. I mean, I don't have to worry about gold. But I wouldn't be surprised if a company like this does extremely well. There's also the Mara. I think they're also another one that I think can do very, very well here. And actually, I even put out tweets about this kind of very image when I was this morning talking about Bitcoin, because I don't know whether Bitcoin is going to go through another one of these absolute insane ramp ups. And notice the volume just isn't there just yet. But something like Mara, I mean, geez, that's a lot of volume pouring in here. And the Riot, same sort of thing, big volume pouring in here. So I think the next bull market it's setting its base. And I think that the tell here is our newsletter here, BlackRock. It's interesting how BlackRock they did their formal application, and frankly speaking, I don't think that they actually want to take no for an answer. And just the point here is that BlackRock is shilling to, and interestingly enough, they are kind of going to their audience. Right, he comes on. I might argue something like CNBC is basically Larry Flink's playground. I'm not exactly sure who owns CNBC. I mean, it's kind of a football these days. I'm sure it's one of the big telecom companies down in the States. And I wouldn't be surprised if Larry actually is a major shareholder of that telecom company. So if he wants to come in and talk to them, he's got basically the green light to do whatever the hell he wants. And I don't think he wants to take, he doesn't want to take no for an answer. Simple as that. But more importantly, remember we had talked a little bit about a few minutes ago about the con job that is going on with the US dollar. This is getting really dangerous, and it's happening right across the board with all of these fiat currencies. So it's not like it's just the US dollar. If anything, I might even argue that the US dollar is actually probably one of the better performing names in the space. I constantly go on about the idiot that's in charge of my country and how he just doesn't understand economics 101. And he's got a person who's in charge of the Canadian financial system that has absolutely no experience in the actual job. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And some of the statements that she comes out with are just like, okay, are you literally, did somebody just like put a tape recorder in your back and press play and you're just spitting out somebody else's message to the public, because it doesn't even sound like you're even using common sense when you're talking. Klaus, Great Reset. I mean, I find it fascinating, and this is a sad commentary on Canadian democracy, but Canadians should be outraged about things like Two Michaels, should be outraged at things like the We charity scandal, which happened to be under this government. They should be absolutely outraged over the Winnie the Pooh influence in our democratic elected process. They should be absolutely outraged at the fact that we have a finance minister that doesn't really know what the hell she's doing, and is certainly not working for actual Canadians' best interests. Obviously, she's taking her instructions from somebody else. The banks. Excuse me. Pardon me. Banks. Excuse me. Pardon me. So, a la Great Reset, I sure hope. I mean, whether you like this guy or not, and frankly speaking, I don't really like him. I think he's just as nasty of any, ruthless, unscrupulous capitalist out there. And he comes on the CNBC and he goes, you know what BlackRock is? BlackRock is all about hope. It's like, you gotta be kidding me. He could actually say that with a straight face. Anyway, so I, the point here is, it would have been absolute sacrilege for him to come out 10, 20 years ago and say something like, well, all our currencies are depreciating, and you probably ought to find a hedge to go and hide out in. And that's basically the pitch that he's making about Bitcoin. Now, is this after the fact? Is this, I kind of think so. I think the damage has already been done. But at the same time, too, remember, the public always buys tops. The public always buys late. And I get the impression into this crisis, which we are in right now. I don't know how long this damn crisis is going to last. But until we transition into this new growth cycle, and we've sort of officially done the Great Reset, and Klaus and stuff and all those idiots stop barking about Great Reset, then I think you can actually make the case for Bitcoin. And I think that the institutional players are making that case. So I guess that's my sort of commentary on what we're seeing here. I don't think inflation is over by a long shot. And I've shown you guys repeatedly, go back and watch previous episodes. I've shown you guys repeatedly the inflation data from the 1940s, the last Great Reset. And now there's the wave that comes in 27, 28, which would be the similar as 47, 48, is like twice the inflation per surge that we saw through 21, 22, 23, a la 41, 42, 43. Twice. That's good. So I think you better just get used to the fact that rates they're here. They're not going to go back down to zero. That was an anomaly. That was all around the fact that the U.S. banking system basically fucked over the world. They lent way too much money. They should have never inflated the U.S. housing market the way they did in 2008. They got a major bailout from every taxpayer. And since the US dollar is the hegemony of the world, that means every single world citizen that's part of this US hegemony system basically bailed out the US banking system through that. Now, what does the world swimming in $31 trillion of made up phony baloney money look like? And all I got to do is just open the window and look outside, and you can see what a world of phony baloney, hyper inflated society looks like. Sad, but it's the way it is. And I don't see interest rates going down anytime soon. The only way that I could see this unwind is if Winnie the Pooh somehow loses power over there in China and the CCP is deposed and it turns into some sort of massive civil war over there. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think Winnie is firmly in charge and he's just going to murder anybody that gets in his way. And if you don't like it, there's the execution line. Thank heavens. I mean, I suppose at some point in the not too distant future, substitute drama teachers are going to, Mr. Beamish, it's your time to head off to the concentration camp. You asked for it. You know, we can see it coming. But anyway, I've done my job here. I did exactly what Spirit asked of me. So when it is my time to go to the other side, I know JC will look down at me and say, hey, Brian, you tried your best. That's all you can do. You spoke from the heart. You spoke the truth. You didn't lie to people. You didn't try and take advantage of them. You know, you tried your best. That's all I can do, folks. So anyway, point of the matter here is I would actually agree with this statement. That's why one of the reasons why we kept it in here. Chris showed it to me earlier, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I think that makes sense. I don't think you're going to see interest rates go down anytime soon. The question really ultimately is, are they actually done raising interest rates? And I don't think so. I think actually they're probably going to go up a bit more here. So anyway, usually, and take this for note, that usually the market actually goes into a speculative phase through sort of once we get through that first July holiday week. We transition out of the sell in May and walk away and transition into, okay, well, are any of these companies actually making any money when they report their quarterly earnings the first, second, third week of July? So I think to a certain degree, a lot of that is happening in the broader economy. You know, each and every one of you now should remember for the rest of your lives, are we supposed to be bullish of the market around Brian's birthday? I mean, it is the easiest reference you will ever have in your life. And I think from now on, I think I'm just going to simply just make a case that I'm officially going on vacation in the month of May, because almost invariably the market always tops out around then. But then we get through July, we get through the tax loss selling window for countries like Australia and stuff, which happen to be the end of June. And then the conversation stops about sort of macro stuff and it goes back to, well, are these companies actually earning money? And I might argue actually this FANG probably needs to be reorganized. You know, clearly, you know, like them or hate them, Microsoft was one of the biggest growth stocks through the last growth cycle, and it looks like Microsoft is about to, well, not about to, it is growing like a weed. In fact, actually, they just took over one of my favorite video games, and now I think I'm probably going to have to stop playing it. Maybe find a new distraction. But actually Activision, which is one of the biggest video game sort of players, Blizzard Activision, I think it was called anyway, now it's officially part of Microsoft. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft has to be incorporated into this kind of thinking again. Also to NVIDIA, now, I don't know, is NVIDIA stand for Netflix or does it stand for NVIDIA now? I don't know. Point being that as we're sort of, and of course the big money center banks, they got an absolute gift handed to them this past couple months with these quote unquote mercy killings of these regional banks. I still think that the regional banks got absolutely suckered by Janet Yellen. Somebody quote me on that. Janet Yellen literally suckered all of these regional banks. She insisted through the whole sickness that everybody needs to invest in U.S. Treasury bonds, and they are the most safest, securest asset in the world. And, you know, we need you to invest. And the regional banks invested. They did exactly what they were told to do. And then the cycle pivoted, and don't tell me she didn't know about Jupiter Saturn cross and 80-year money cycle transitions. I can't believe that she doesn't know that. She knows this stuff. It's just, of course, she was given instructions by the Illuminati to keep quiet and make sure into that pivot, everybody and their brother was buying US treasuries. And then on the other side of it, she knew that the interest rate market was going to break. I knew it was coming. And I think I've told a lot of you, even now I'm 80, 90%. Well, no. Let's see. I just try to do some math off the top of my head. I would still say now, even now, I'm about 80% cash in my personal net worth. And just I'm collecting interest, right? Collecting, 4 or 5% interest on that 80% cash. I've got my Bitcoins and I've got my Ethereum and I want more. But I can't pay the prices and probably should move on to that. But if anything, now I would say pullbacks are buying opportunities. The issue here, though, is what I'd really like to do is I think that there's an opportunity somehow in the commercial real estate market. Now, if we're lucky, the break in the commercial real estate market actually is expressed in other pain through real estate, but I really would like to go and get some real estate on the books. But even now, I'm still sitting in about 80% cash, and I would say, yeah, I got about 10, 15% in crypto right now and Bitcoin, Ethereum, the big boys. So. Then, of course, we've got TRI funds. And interestingly enough, I've given direct instructions, although it's like pulling teeth. But I would like the boys to be acquiring, especially for TRI and the site, because we are so crypto oriented, to take the capital that we have and be investing in crypto right now, because I think this is the bottom. It's just a question. You have to be selective, of course, about when and what price you pay for things. But, I think I've told you repeatedly. Let's see if you guys can remember. And well, remember, Andrea, it's the middle of summer. Do markets bottom? Because Andrea just said commercial real estate bottom is not in. So when do markets usually tank? I mean, just think historically, when do markets usually tank? It's pretty easy. And by the way, it's not the middle of the summer. So I would still hold to that. And if we get some absolute horrendous, like absolute crash in real estate, commercial real estate, into sort of like, I don't know, November or something like that, I'd be very, very interested. In fact, actually, this is just what I do personally for fun. I'm constantly looking at these auction sites. Look at this, bank owned private equities across, and this is Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, South Carolina. I mean, I follow these things religiously. There was a really cool one. I mean, it's so funny. And like in the Northwest right now, you can't buy like a half-acre land for under like $500,000. But here, I thought this one is hilarious. I mean, the house is a piece of shit. It's total garbage. But this is in Elba, Alabama, whatever the hell that is. But you can see it's good. It's a bit of a city core. There's a whole bunch of highways and stuff that come in. I mean, ask Chris whether he wants to move to Alabama or not, though. I mean, that's always a fun conversation with him. But I do like if I can somehow sneak in near this panhandle down in here in Florida area. This is like almost 8 acres, and actually it doesn't show the final bid, but it went for like $30,000-$40,000 for 8 acres. I mean, maybe half of the property's underwater because of floods. I don't know. But just the point is that this is the way I like to shop. I want to be buying when others are crying and selling when others are yelling. And I might even argue that this kind of environment, well, that's kind of what's going on in the Altcoin arena right now. So maybe let's get back on task here. I'm totally off topic. And actually, you know what? We just had a really good example of this. We got to change that from LTC. This is supposed to be cripple, tastes great. This is exactly the same thing. Remember, Brian's a cheap ass. So Brian wants to buy stuff that's cheap. You know, this Riot, of course, when it gets down to the bottom ends of ranges, starts, I mean, God, this is everything that we teach you guys. I mean, I try to teach you guys. I don't know whether anybody even believes half this stuff I try to teach you guys. But can you see the momentum divergence develop here? I mean, look at this. Are there any level oneers? Hey, Kat, you're a level oneer. Can you see? You guys should be doing these kind of topics now, but can you see here? This was making higher lows and higher highs. And so that actually happened right here. Wow, that's weird. Yes, it's actually making a new all-time low. Well, what the hell's going on? And then look at this volume surge. Oh my goodness, look at all the buyers, and then more buyers. Like, what the hell's going on? Kat, you've done, have you guys, have the level oneers done the volume impetus yet? Because actually I put a bunch of tweets about this even today. So, you know, are we at the bottom end of the trading range? I don't know. You tell me. Are we at or below reload zones? Here's the reload zone. This is all the way here. I mean, way up here. Holy moly. That's why I always say never justify, you know, spending your hard-earned money on just one reason to take a trade. But, you know, once we are at or below reload zones, then you can start thinking about things like actually, yeah, look at all the dips. 6 of them down here. So at or below reload zones, great. We can start hunting bullish momentum divergences. And like I said, we got 6 of them down here. I'm a big fan of the MACD one. I love that. I suppose you could have argued, well, Brian, isn't that a little double bottom here? And if you were investing in this name, I don't really have a problem if you had said, well, I'm going to go do a nanny nibble. But by definition, that's maybe like 1% of my portfolio. Maybe I'll do another nanny nibble on this big W here. I don't know, maybe I'll do another nanny nibble on this W here. You can see that your average cost, if you had just done those 3 trades, I would suggest you probably should do more, but you know, your average is probably somewhere right in there. Nothing wrong with that. All I care is you're at or below reload zones. And frankly speaking, this thing could very easily trade to new highs. And there's a lot of money to be made here over the next couple of years. I do find it interesting, you know, and, you know, I kind of did this as kind of a tongue in cheek yesterday. I was just having fun. Put out a message about things like currency trading. Man, it's remarkable to see how many experts there are on YouTube these days. But I would actually argue that something along these lines, Saturday's broker tip, you know, I think I'm going to do on Saturdays. I'll do a hashtag TRI Saturday broker tip. This is actually a pretty old school kind of way that people don't necessarily trade the US dollar index. What they do is they try and discern what the hell the US dollar index is doing. And then they go and pull up their pairs. This, I think, happens to be the Swiss franc, which is interesting because it's basically a gold proxy. And you can see a very clearly defined bullish bot, also a really clearly defined cup and handles. Also a really nice looking little double bottom there with chaos levels to the upside. Some, you know, tons of reasons to justify taking a trade here. And I think that was your way that you played this US dollar move, was you actually played it through the pairs. And I might make the argument that this trade is over now. We've hit a bunch of upside objectives. I also tweeted this out. So by all means, if you're watching this and you're kind of like, well, you know, Brian, I want to get something free out of this, go and take this screenshot. I mean, there is so much incredibly valuable information that you can just, you know, you're all supposed to have your journals out in front of you and throw that in your journal. I mean, learn about harmonics, AB equals CDs, learn about chaos levels, Faugenbaum, learn about extension levels and parking garages, learn about cup and handles. Learn about the bot setup. How would Brian actually trade this where I already have pre-programmed numbers that tell me exactly where I should be acting and how I should be acting. And it's a beautiful piece. That's sort of like I called it. Every Saturday, I'm going to try and put out one of these kind of images that I think it's absolute gold. And then, what I might do in person is just go through these and explain them if I'm going to do things like boot camps and stuff around the world. Speaking of which, Rush, one of our LOL Canasta Club members. I don't know how active he is, though. He's been sort of putting it together, a document explaining the boot camp that we're kind of thinking about doing this fall in Europe. Maybe I'll head back over. I think, Chris, you're planning on going back over to Mallorca, correct? I think he is. Anyway.
That is correct. Yes,
There
I
it
do
is.
plan on going back soon.
So if he gets settled in and him and Andrea and Juju can find a nice Airbnb on Mallorca for maybe, I don't know, a couple weeks there in October, November, that we can rent out, maybe even a little bit discounted price, who knows? That might be a fun couple weeks and we can just all collectively work away on our day trading plans. And actually those bleeps might even be Rush sending me PMs. Is it? No. I mean, interesting. Am I hallucinating? Oh, that's you. Oh, okay. You were sending me that. All right. So what do you got here? Yeah, here it is here. Still really haven't like formally put this thing together. We were thinking about getting a property and actually creating a in-person campus to teach live. I still like that idea, but I think our plan is that we're going to use the proceeds from this year's, well, I guess this cycle's crypto bull to fund this. I think that's what the plan is. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's right. Brian's talking way too much. I don't know. Anybody enjoy the rant? Did you get anything out of all this? Sure hope you did. Sure went off quite on a tangent there about how our world's going to hell in a handbasket, eh? Sorry about that, everybody. Anyway, I think this is a screenshot. I know Eddie's been working away diligently on this, and I think Eddie made just an absolute killing on this spring rally in Bitcoin. I don't know whether this is. I know there's Eddie's strategy. Here's Eddie's sheet, and I mean, this is a sign of a pro, where a guy actually will show you everything that he's actually doing. Are all these, Eddie? You're here, right? Are all of these greens? Are they fills? Did you actually get fills on them? He's saying yes. So look how many doubles he got. He's doing exactly what I want to teach all of you guys how to do. I mean, look at all the doubles he got off this last cycle. He's absolutely textbook, exactly what it is. I want all of you. Look how many fucking doubles this guy got off here. This is ridiculous. Isn't your name Julian? Or I'm supposed to say Julian? These Romanians get this. I don't know what it is with these Romanians, but they're fucking bosses. Yeah, he's from Romania. I mean, it's incredible. These Romanians are fucking killing it. There's one Romanian that I used to work with on the site, and he's so fucking good. He's gone and created his own site and his own community, and he's making a fortune just trading away like a boss. Where is he? Paul, this guy, Crypto Traders Arena. He probably has 10 million followers and a bazillion subscribers. And I mean, I don't know what it is with you Romanians, but I want more Romanians in my life. Maybe screw Mallorca, Eddie. But you're in Africa right now. Where are you going to be this October, November? Any way for you to join us? Anyway, maybe we should do. Andre, are you from Romania too? I don't know. It's damn impressive watching you Romanians in action. So anyway, the point of the matter here is this isn't so much day trading. if anything, it's such a great analogy that there's a million different ways to skin this cat. I mean, just a million. He says November, I will be in Romania. Wow. Maybe we should consider doing this boot camp in Romania. The only problem is maybe we go in, but we can't get out. I don't know. Romania is relative. Didn't that guy, what was that? What's that guy's, the kickboxer guy? Didn't he get himself into trouble in Romania? Something about that. Anyway, 10% tax. Ooh, geez, I love that. Hey, TBG knows. Yeah, that guy got himself. I won't say his name, but that guy got himself into a bit of trouble in Romania. Anyway, where am I going with all this? What am I trying to say? You be like Eddie. I mean, even if you're not like the Beamish, the Beamish, maybe he's getting a little old, maybe he's getting a little tired, maybe he's getting a little bit complacent. I firmly believe that by November of 2025, probably early January 2026, this crypto market is going to be right back up top, and like this Mara, come November, and you can even sort of see it. I mean, it's almost a bit cliche, really. It's remarkable how more people in social media and stuff don't talk about this. I'm using this Mara as an example, but it's just one. But you can see from peak to peak, that was, did I do the date thing here? Anyway, if we just do the same thing, so peak to peak, and you can see that's interesting. That's April 2024. Maybe. There's a lot of these stocks actually that top pretty early, because you could make the argument that this is where the Bitcoin price topped, not February 21. But, well, actually, let's maybe overlay that. Let's see what we got here. Do I have Bitcoin on here? Maybe I already do. No. Stamp. All right. Okay. Yeah. So interesting how Mara actually ended up topping here. And in a weird sort of way, I actually kind of like that thinking, because I've told you guys before, I actually think Bitcoin this cycle is actually more like this cycle. Yeah, this one here. Isn't that weird? Well, okay, what am I trying to do here? I guess I'm thinking more like this one. But anyway, sort of getting off topic here. So, in a weird sort of way, you might see these crypto stocks actually top out here. And actually, that would make sense, because usually the stock market tops out in May, sell in May and walk away, all that kind of talk. And then, you remember that jerk went on Saturday Night Live. Look how wonderful I am. Of course, did he tell anybody not to buy Dogecoin up there at 70 cents? No. I would say Alan is as much of a sociopath as that Larry Fink guy. I think they're actually cut from the same cloth. I don't know what it is with me. And somebody even on YouTube said, wow, that's weird, Brian. You're a Taurus and you're not an asshole. That's kind of odd. Because according to my birth sign, I'm actually in the right business. So that does make sense. But I never said he couldn't make money. But actually, interestingly enough, Mr. Musk, he actually has publicly come out and testified that he is a habitual liar. He is capable of blatantly lying, not only to regulators, to the government, but also to the public. He has publicly come out and said that. And frankly speaking, how can you trust anybody who will publicly come out and admit that he purposefully told a lie to meet a regulatory requirement and admitted that he actually lied. Man, you can't trust somebody like that, right? I mean, in a weird sort of way, my old man, he used to be in politics, and it was the same damn thing. I don't, sometimes, we got into a big tete-a-tete in 2006 because I told him that I had a back injury and that I was flat on my back and I couldn't do something. And he could not believe that I was actually telling the truth. He couldn't believe it. Well, I'm going to let you figure that out, Richard. I can find the evidence. Actually, it comes right out in social media and says it point blank that he lied. So do yourself a favor, do a little bit of research. He's on record as saying, I lied because I had to. But the simple fact of the matter is, I don't think it's a good idea for anybody to justify lying anytime. I don't like liars. Everybody at TRI knows that I go out of my way to be as open and as transparent as absolutely possible. And sometimes I have to admit that I suck. I'm not really that good of a trader. I try my best. I have my trading plans. I understand best practices, but even sometimes I go on losing streaks. It's just the way shit happens. And if so especially in like venture cap, you can like walk right into a buzz saw. And I did that with one particular stock a year or two ago. But at least I didn't lie about it. I told you the open truth. Yeah, I suck. Don't, if anything, that's half of my message. And it's probably why we have so few viewers and so few followers, is that I say, look I know the process, I know the rules. And if you want to take our education program, I'll teach you the process and I'll teach you the rules and I'll teach you how to use this stuff. But don't just blindly buy what Brian's buying, because that's not your plan. That's your money. You don't think I suck, Andre? All right. Well, that's good. All 40 of you. Thank you, Andre. Love you. Hugs and kisses. But if it's one thing that I'm a fault at, is that I don't like lying. I hate people who lie. I'm the type of guy, and take this to the bank, that I I judge you, and I judge each and every one of you on how well you actually do what you say you're going to do. That's actually, in my eyes, the mark of a good trader versus the public. Do you actually do what you say you're going to do? Anyway, running out of time here, so I better shut the hell up and get on with the message. Okay, so back to the newsletter. I sure hope somebody out there. I mean, you guys are giving me good feedback there on the YouTube chat, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. I think I'm giving a bit of value here. I hope I am. So what's going on here in this world? Actually, it looks like yeah, we're gonna have to edit this a little bit after while I'm on the road here with Lily. The U.S. dollar index past week fell dramatically on prospects of weakening inflationary pressure and resumption of global growth. What I'm actually hearing is that the Fed, and keep in mind, we're in between Fed meetings. So the market will do any old damn thing it wants. And then we can get to the Fed meeting and you might find the US dollar takes off again. But while we're in that window where the Fed's not really part of the equation, I think you'll see that on my profile. And actually, I didn't even do that, did I? I'm so bad at this. I'm supposed to. Thank heavens Chris is really good at his job. I'm supposed to retweet this stuff. Anyway, so there we go. At least it's on the feed. Somebody after the fact on my feed will watch this. But anyway, and I noticed this happens a lot with Alan. And I don't know what to do about it. Oh, look at this. Now I can't see anything. Thanks, Alan. Love you. Hugs and kisses. I'm going to make your experience on Twitter the best ever. Really? I don't know. Look at that. I can't even do anything now on this thing. How can you tell Alan's watching the feed, eh? That cocksucker, I'll get him. Look at that. Can't even see anything. Man, gotta love your platform here, Alan. You're doing a great job. Oh, well. Okay, back to the newsletter. Okay, so the potential Fed might pivot. I still don't think interest rates are going down at any point here, but maybe the prospects for them cranking interest rates a lot higher is off the table. This is more, in my opinion, a commentary on risk on versus risk off, in that, if you're freaked out and the end of the world is coming and all that kind of stuff, you run into the US dollar. So it shouldn't really surprise us that at the very peak of the chaos there, interesting how US dollar index topped out in, I guess, middle to the end of September 2022, sort of as this sickness worry sort of abated. And we've just been correcting ever since as this sort of world economies are back opening up and sort of business as usual. Interestingly enough, this recent quote unquote crash in the US dollar isn't really a crash. This is just business as usual. And you can see fibs up top. There is a 61.8 retracement. So you might argue for the US dollar just to get healthy again. There's the bottom of the move all the way down there at 88. There's the top up at 114. Well, just like Bitcoin and the Riot and Cripple and stuff, there's the reload zone. So if I wanted to invest in US dollars, I really should wait for this level to come back to. And also might make the argument, well, there's the original W. So if I'm going to do like a Wyckoff check, and of course everybody knows, let's see, what are the three letters that we use to describe 786? Is there some sort of three letters that Brian likes to use lately to describe 786 fib level? And would that make sense? I think I even have it on here. Look at that. Boom. BFF. The reload zone is from Mountain Man, 61.8, all the way down to, I used to call this to old students, the line in the sand. It's easier. I like to use the BFF. That's my favorite fib, 78.6. So you can see the US dollar could still come down quite a chunk here. This isn't crashing. I would actually say this is just correcting. It's unwinding all that. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. All the world economies are collapsing. We got to go and bury our head in the sand and just buy US Treasury bills and just ride it out. So that's what I think is going on here. Having said that, I did find it interesting. They had a pretty well telegraphed AB equals CD, as well as a pretty well telegraphed Feigenbaum 4.669. And look how the market just pivoted right off that down level. So there's the AB equals CD. There's the 4669. Look how we just went down and then doink, just bounced right off it. So in the short term, could we have maybe a bit of backfilling here, especially into this next Fed meeting, waiting for, does the Fed raise rates? Do they just leave them alone? That kind of thing. I think so. And if anything, hearing the amount of sort of fear in the marketplace of late, things was getting a little palatable, right? Where you could like actually almost taste the bearishness on the US dollar. And in a weird sort of way, that in itself was a bit of a sign that, well, we're probably coming to the end of this. So could we use a bit of backfilling here and calming down in the market? I think so. Does it make sense that Mr. Fink here, of course, is going absolutely crazy ape shit into this to try and take advantage of as much fear as possible to jam through his Bitcoin ETF and all this US dollar devaluation? I think so. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. He's using this event to try and pound the table. Got to get this damn ETF through. And what I thought was interesting about this is that the first ETF application was just instantly rejected. And I think that the market even said, well, you're not going to get rid of Larry that easily. Because remember, and then, this is, we're going to go on to this part of the conversation now. Oh, I got to get my head on straight here. Well, there it is over there. Sorry. Oh, I can't show you. Let's hit retry. Nope. Let's hit retry again. Nope. Let's go back over here. Nope. Let's hit retry there. Nope. Let's hit retry there. Nope. Isn't that incredible? I don't know what it is, but Alan does not like me at all. Anyway, it's probably more than just nothing. But anyway, okay. So what I kind of see happening here, and probably this is the best one to go off of, I think of. Yeah. So here was the, actually, no, maybe this isn't the best one. Here's the best one. So this, did I do it here? Yeah. So here is the initial BlackRock ETF application. Of course, Bitcoin price just took off like a rocket. Was there really any fundamental event that actually happened here? I hate to say it, but no. This is what they would call quantitative analysis, sentiment driven. Well, fuck, if BlackRock and Larry Fink likes Bitcoin, I gotta like it too. And I better not be short while Larry is pounding the table bull. So big jump up. It was interesting. The initial rejection was right here. And notice the market tried to break and just couldn't lose. And this is a really interesting trend line, this high to low trend line. If you're here to learn a new TA tool that you probably never heard about before, of course, we teach this in our level 2 program, working with trend lines. High to low trend lines are actually incredibly powerful. And I used to know a guy a million years ago that that's all he traded off of was high to low trend lines. So that is this trend line from this pivot low. Notice this validated market structure. That pivot low off of this pivot high. Not the prettiest of market structure. We call that a dirty bottom, but nonetheless, very important pivot level there. And that is, just so you can see it, that is the primary trend line right now. What do you think, folks? Do you see how the market is respecting that level? Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room so we can do it all night and you can make me, oh, wait a minute, that's something else. So nobody's an 80s kid. Nobody laughed on that one. No, TBG, you're old enough. You remember that? Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room. Rush, you're also old enough. You probably remember that. Anyway. So I think this is basically your primary trend line until the market actually accepts below this trend line. Which, interesting, look at the fight that's going on right here. Now that is an interesting fight. So they lost the level, bush. They rallied it back, and look how they're trying desperately to W the market out. And my hunch is going forward, you've actually got a really cute little sort of window here. Where if you're a bull, I think you can take a shot. I might wait for some sort of bullish fractal or some sort of bullish sign off of, like, say, maybe even like a 30-minute chart, something. Yeah, you can see just in the short term, we just M'd out there, right? So clearly somebody's like, this is the middle of Sunday. What the hell are you doing rallying? Get your butt going, man. Now, we want to rally. We want to get above here. I mean, W's are W's. And you listen to that Beamish guy, another W here. Let's go. And somebody said, hey, Mr. Fink's not here and he doesn't have his ETF approved. Just slow the fuck down. And bang, 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 instant M. Stop. So if you are a bull, maybe, and you could see the W came in here, nice little fractal. That would have been a sick little entry right there. Maybe wait for some sort of fractal, maybe even a serious test. A candle body lows for trade location. You've heard Brian talk about that. That probably is an interesting level. Is this a reload zone off of that range, right? Oh, what a surprise, 61.8, right? So if you want to get in on the long side, that's probably the window that you want to punting right down in there. But there's something bigger going on here, I think, and that is the fight over this trend line. And I found it fascinating that I saw, and I don't know whether it was a news article or whether it was just some funny social media rant or something, but I saw somebody actually call for there's a bill that's trying to be passed in the U.S. House of Representatives to kill Gary Gensler. Although I don't think they want to kill him, but who knows. What I think might be going on here, and this is sort of what we've been saying all along, is when you have these big institutional players come in here, they can really mess with the kids' heads. And keep in mind, they're trying to buy as many Bitcoins as possible. So they're going to try and goad the public into buying. Of course, this is not really a very good place to buy Bitcoins because when you look out on the bigger picture chart, and that's coming back to this weekly price chart, I actually think this is your trading range right now, and it's a big one. So all of these sort of doji candles and stuff. Remember, there was that you don't hear too much out of Crypto Cobain anymore. Remember, he was the one who was sort of putting out the FUD about CZ, and it was a bit of a head fake move, and then they took the market up to new highs. But the problem here is that, if you pull up any Bitcoin chart, and I don't know, this is the one that I was doing volume study off of. Well, let's pull up any old Bitcoin chart. We'll just do a brand new one here. And then you throw on things like cost of production. I don't know whether I can do this or not. Darn. Well, maybe we'll just do a brand new one. Charts. Crypto. Bitcoin. Cost of production. There we go. So this is a bit old, but nonetheless, these scripts seem to work fairly well. There's value on the old Bitcoin, and the sort of sexiest miner du jour right now is in this area here, and that's like 13 Gs, which would make sense. Nice little flush of these lows just to piss everybody off. So I find it very, very hard to hear anybody's argument that Bitcoin's trading at value right now. It's just not. So the problem because of this is that they can really mess around with price here. That's, I think, half of the reason why you're seeing a lot of this back and forth here is we're nowhere near value. Of course, they want to get all the kids to go in and FOMO buy. Kids are great at FOMO buying. And then, of course, they rip it down and, stop them out, right? And that's basically what this image is. How many stop runs can you see in one chart? I can see a really brutal one right there. There's another one there. I suppose you could argue that there might have been ones against this low and these lows. There's one against that high. There's all these lows here. There's a stop run there. Then there's a stop run against all these highs. There's another stop run against this high. Didn't quite stop these guys out, but a real dump here. I bet there was a bunch of stops below here. I mean, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, just breaking as many hearts as possible. So because of that, could we see that this actually is like A to B and then C to D? Just to break a whole bunch of people's hearts, right? And flush out all of these weak hands here. It's totally doable. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Were there any questions today in the all right. Might have to get to Monday, maybe tomorrow. I'll review the Q&A doc, yeah, in case I run out of time. I suppose nope, that's the newsletter. Did you put the Q&A doc link in here? Where is that? Usually you're really good at this stuff, so. Not there, not there. Did you post it in here? Oh yeah, you did.
Oh,
I just overlooked it. That's all. Uh, okay, where are we here? All the way down at the bottom. Ooh, commitments to traders reports. I haven't looked at these in a while. Okay, so I guess we already answered that. Okay, let's try and finish off this Bitcoin conversation. So this is an interesting little level here, folks. We'll definitely acknowledge that. Because it's Sunday too, though, and tomorrow's not a holiday, is it? I mean, God, we have so many damn holidays. It might be. Um, don't be surprised if there's some FUery around this, and we're at a really ugly place on the price charts. Probably the best way to describe you how ugly this price chart is I still think that we are climbing the wall of worry here. If you look at like Bitcoin on just really, really simple stuff, what should happen here, and usually it does, what should happen here is we should trade back to 38.2 of their most recent range, right? So that's 35,798. That would, and it's just eyeballing it. I don't know whether I have this perfect or not. But that should be where we need to go. Uh, Time and time again, it is interesting that, if we actually look at this kind of study, you see that actually looks like we just missed it there. But, pullbacks, usually we come into things like 38.2s. Actually, I'm a little surprised that didn't happen there. But anyway, if we look at, previous bulls, you can see this one. This one went all the way up to 61.8. And you can see, and we might have to do 61.8. Don't get me wrong. But at the bare minimum, we should get 38.2s. In fact, actually, there's an old student of mine, Colin. He has his Colin Pump Chaser Zone, which I absolutely love making reference to, where if you wanted to join a bull run, in this case, join a bear run, you wait, don't go in short like here or here, because you're going to get your head handed to you on Collins pump chaser, dump chaser, counter trend rally. So there's a good example of it. And then if you wanted to short, well, there was your short there off of that M. And it really didn't translate into much because, interestingly enough, you might have said, well, there is your 38.2. So there's your counter trend rally back and forth, back and forth. And this one, interestingly enough, actually came right down into beautiful reload zones all the way right back down against those lows. I suppose you could even argue that this was a reload zone off of this range here, 61.8 up to say 78.6. So technically, I suppose that did that. But the point I'm trying to make here is the bare minimum on these bounces is usually 38.2s. So, interestingly enough, if we actually do like fibs going here down to here, notice 38.2. That's what usually happens, right? And if we do here, 38.2. Again, and if you're seeing this for the first time, holy, take a screenshot of that, write it down, bookmark this video, tell a friend. So with all that said, and actually, I think that's what this one was that it did, but I could be mistaken, but yeah. So 38.2 all the way down 50. Well, actually, that's off here. Sorry. There we go. So 38.2 into 50%. Actually, this one went a little bit further. But anyway, the point being that I'm trying to make is that we should expect a bounce into this zone, although that's backwards. We should expect a bounce into this zone. So I think this is the process of what they call climbing the wall of worry. We are making higher highs and higher lows, defines a bull market. It's just, it's very painful if you happen to be caught buying the tops of these markets here, because then you got to go through that and that and that. Oh, yuck. So, just illustration purposes, I still think that we're heading up into this 38.2. But even as we speak now, look where 38.2 is to the downside. So just like we showed you a moment ago, you might find that we have to come back to 38.2 here again. And what you might actually find, and this is where it gets a little dangerous, is this might actually turn into some sort of ugly head and shoulders top. I don't think so, but you always have to be open for this, right? It's not our job to tell the market what it's going to do. Our job is just to simply react. And if we happen to see an area of, well, I've seen when markets retrace 38.2 to 50%, Collins pump chaser zone, there's often a pivot through that. So I'm going to be going into insane stalker mode off of lower time frames, looking for bullish divergence, looking for some sort of structure to get long. And fine, if that's your trading plan, totally awesome. But you can see right here, that's an absolute horrible place to be a buyer. Horrible. Now, maybe you're one of these lower time frame traders and you can operate off of, this is a 4-hour chart. I would even say 4-hour charts, this looks extremely dangerous. V top, V bottom, V top, V top, V bottom, V top, V bottom, V top. This has got trouble written all over it. And you know what this has written all over it? It's got, where is he? Wait for it. He's got to be around here somewhere. Oh, I got rid of it. That's too bad. Anyway, it's got, and actually, you know what I've even said here, right? Is you get an FU, you get an FU, you get an FU. Why? Well, because it's got this guy written all over it. He has got deep enough pockets that he can say to his staff, here is 1,000 Bitcoins. Go and run the order book and make sure to break all these highs so we can wipe out any shorters that think that they're smarter than us. And then as soon as you wipe out those highs, take whatever profits you made with that 1,000 Bitcoins and drive the damn thing into the ground and run all these weak hands out. And that's exactly what I think is going on. Are there any wise institutional investors that are coming in and loading up here? And I can unequivocally tell you, absolutely not. And as I've said repeatedly, although I sound like a curmudgeon, if I really did want to invest in Bitcoin, the irony of it all is that this is so damn cliche. You can see where the original W is. You can see where Brian's reload zone is. And the irony of it all is, where is Brian's favorite fib? Well, it's right there. So if I did want to actually start, quote unquote, investing in Bitcoins, well, that's the level right there. Although you can see, maybe I'll put it on center. Right there. That's where Brian's willing to invest. Is Brian willing to invest in Bitcoin right here? No fucking way. No way, no way, no way, Jose. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm not going to tell, this is the same thing where if I wanted to drive sales of newsletters, I would not say things like, I think this is actually a terrible place to invest. Did you hear Alan at any given point in time say, well, yeah, I'm on Saturday Night Live and you guys all love me and you think I walk on water, but it would be a really, really dumb idea for you to go and buy my Dogecoin here. Did you ever hear him say anything along those lines? No. Look at what happened. I mean, it's pathetic. So are we maybe walking into one of those kind of scenarios with this guy pounding the table as hard as he is about Bitcoin? Is it a good idea for you to be coming in and investing here? And if anything, the fact that he's trying to float this ETF means that he's probably already bought all the Bitcoins he wants to put in the ETF. He's got them sitting on the sidelines. Now he just needs to simply transfer ownership of the Bitcoins into this ETF. I mean, he's got them somewhere. Somebody's obviously got a cost of buying Bitcoins there. And my hunch is the moment that he does that, of course, he's going to book a really nice capital gain for all the Bitcoins that he did buy. And of course, he's going to have everybody who just blindly buys ETFs. They're probably going to come in and just buy the top of whatever the hell the ETF is. It's usually how it goes. So, horrible place for you to be consider investing in Bitcoins here. But, can you have the patience and discipline to wait for good trade location? I hear a lot of people on social media, they are getting absolutely apeshit bullish about crypto right now. And I suppose to finish this conversation off, and you guys know me long enough now, would I publicly come out and endorse you guys coming in and investing your hard-earned money on Riot blockchain with the chart looking like that? Would I publicly come out and say, you know what, this is probably a pretty good time to go and buy some Riot blockchain? Come on. I mean, if anything, what I'd probably say is, well, I suppose there was a W right here. So if you bought $50, actually that's not 50, $7.82. What should you be doing right now? Let's see if anybody can fill in the blank. If you had bought this thing, which isn't even really the best level, but let's say you did buy this thing at $7.82 at $19, I've already given you the hint. What should you be doing? Thank you, TBG. What do you think, TBG? Do you get this shit now? Do you understand this? Because if you do, you should be able to make more money than you'll ever need for the rest of your life. I mean, maybe you don't listen to Beamish. Maybe Beamish is an old curmudgeon and God, he just talks endlessly, mindlessly forever. But do you see what Eddie has done here? Do you see how many green boxes he's done here? If Eddie had bought this Riot at $7.82, what do you think Eddie should be doing? Hint, hint, hint. I'll even give you the damn number. What is 782 times 2? I'll make it. I mean, the irony of investing, folks, is it is stunningly simple. 7.82 times 2 equals 1564. Can I make this any more easy for you? So do you think you should be buying? What did we say? 1562, right? So that's up in this area. Oh, what a surprise. This market's going parabolic into that event. Do you think you should be buying here? 64, is that what I said? Something like that. So that's in there. And of course, what's the stock doing here right now? I mean, you want to be really cute. What you probably should do is work open orders because you're going to have to pay taxes unless this is done in like a sheltered account. But what I would suggest you probably do is throw on some Foggenbaum levels. If 782 is your entry, what level, because you're going to have to pay the tax man a whole bunch, maybe figure out what that double number is after your tax is owing. Maybe that turns out it was $18, right? Something along those lines. I don't know. But should you be buying here? I don't think so. So anyway, food for thought. The interesting thing is do you see how crippled? This is exactly the same image, folks. I tried to get people at the end of the year to come in and buy Litecoin. Do you remember, Brian, talking about Litecoin and getting your together? It's the same conversation. That was at what? I guess the double bottom there was $60. Ironically enough, I don't even know whether this thing's actually done. We are coming into halving events, so I do kind of think that maybe Litecoin's rally's done for now. But believe it or not, I actually don't have a problem with you still shooting to sell half on a double. It might take quite a while for this to happen because of the halving event. But I still would use the same logic. Some coins spit out doubles faster than others. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. What I'm just going to simply say is that, it can you justify coming in and buying Cripple on this rally? No, 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 no. You've missed the boat. And if anything, I'm quite proud of the fact of where I did. This is everything that I'm trying to teach you guys to do. And what a surprise. Asset basically has doubled on us now. I don't know where the hell this thing's going. Frankly speaking, down the road, I think this thing's going a hell of a lot higher. I don't know. I mean, geez, some of the price predictions that you see on social media right now are a little bit outlandish. Do you want to maybe sell half on a double and get yourself a risk-free trade? That's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. Risk-free is a great way to live life, folks. It really is. And then, the interesting thing is there's also Stellar Lumen. This is exactly the same story, no different. I mean, look how pretty that W is. Of course, you can see where Brian stepped in off of these W's. But look at that chart. Holy free holies. Would I feel comfortable about you buying here? Well, I think if anything, if you're interested in something like this, I would even say, I don't know what that might be the top. I don't know. I'm long from the double bottom, W's and all that kind of fun talk. What happens if we throw a reload zone on this range? Oh, what a surprise. This is basically going to turn into, well, all we're doing. In fact, we used to call it, or we still do, I suppose, on the site, call this a shark setup, where you have the market structure. Market structure still looks perfectly valid. You draw your fib, 78.6 lines up with market structure. That's a fantastic trade level. So I wouldn't necessarily buy here. And if you did have the opportunity to be selling halves on doubles and all that kind of fun stuff up top, way to go. But if you are going to reload second car, third car, that kind of conversation, I might do that down here. I actually like the idea of this thing playing around up top here. Great analogy of Foggenbaums. Geez, if you just said, look, I'm going to buy the W and I'm going to sell a 200 period moving average on the weekly charts. That's the 4-year business cycle moving average. And I'm going to sell a 2.618 confluence of levels. And oh, what a surprise. What do you think the odds are that this was probably like a 38.2 of this range right here? Probably pretty good. Well, not a bad area. If you wanted to be a little bit greedy, wicks and tails like to be eaten. I suppose it makes sense why we sort of stalled right in there. But, this is the same sort of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this rally is probably not done. But if you did sell half on a double off of this and you did get your pullback all the way down into that BFF, that's a fantastic reload. That's like the definition of our second car kind of idea. So I guess the point here is, when you originally see these things bottom, you have to force yourself to step in and buy. Can you do that? Well, that's up to you. I can't force you to buy. Then, of course, when you do get these pops, if you can get yourself into a risk-free trade and then you have no risk on the asset going forward, try not to get sucked into, well, this thing's going to $100 a coin and I'm not selling a coin until then. There were a lot of people that did that with that Luna. Exact same. And I don't even know if we can get a chart of this anymore. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So I had a lot of people that bought and they were like millionaires. Look at me, Brian. Your sell half on a double strategy sucks. And here they are today. Well, I guess I probably should have sold at least one half on a double and maybe gotten into a risk-free trade, and then I wouldn't be crying in my beer right now. So there is a logic, and this is more like the broker financial planner talking to you. And, letting a bit go here to get yourself that risk-free trade is never a bad idea. So anyway, there are two really good analogies of why 2023 is, do you have your shit together? Have you gotten your shit together? Do you have your plan together? Do you have your capital together? Do you have What are my three reasons to justify investing? Do I understand the fundamental value of one of these ideas? Do I understand trade location? Do I understand W's? Do I have bullish divergences, momentum, whatever? And then just get out there and execute the plan. And I hear way too often people say, well, Brian, I took your course down here, but something else, came in the way and I completely forgot about it. Remember, what did I say? Let's see if you guys can remember. Andre, you seem to like what I'm saying here today. Who can actually recite back to me what is it Brian wants to see that actually defines whether you are an actual trader? And maybe a half decent one at that. I mean, I'm sure anybody can label themselves a trader. What did I say? And did Brian actually do what he said? Well, I even said it earlier. I didn't say anything about, those are good points, but I said, what is the hallmark of a good trader? The hallmark of a good trader is you do exactly what you say you're going to do. Well, as Eddie says here, follow your plan. Actually do what you say you're going to do. Believe it or not, most people in this world, they go, okay, I'll buy your course, I'll come to classes, but when push comes to shove, they don't actually do what they say they're going to do. You want to see what do what you say you're going to do looks like? It looks like this. And the interesting thing about all of this, folks, is if I have gotten through to this one gentleman and I have taught him this and he gets this, then this past 10 years actually was a win. I can stand in front of my maker and I can just simply say, I did what I said I was going to do. I wanted to try and make a positive difference in this world. I wanted to try and have a positive impact. Now, ironically enough, it's on Eddie's shoulders now to, number one, just keep doing this now. I think he gets it. Look at this. He got two doubles off on this son of a bitch. And this one, and this one. And fuck, he's just doing everything that I try to teach you guys. And it's beautiful to watch in action. These windows only really come about once every 4 years or so. I mean, I sure hope you guys are getting this. Nice, TBG, right? TBG even says right here, the level 1 course spells it out, behavior and self-discipline. It's really that simple, folks. And I'm immensely proud of people that actually get this. And I gotta say, I don't know what it is, but these Romanians, they're fucking crazy. They actually do what I tell them to do. I must have Romanian blood in me somewhere down the line. It's stunning. What I wanted to show you was Paul. The good part about it is Eddie here is still part of TRI. He hasn't given up on me and gone off and started his own website and become competition to me, which was frustrating. But man, it's beautiful to watch these Romanians in action. So I got to just somehow, I just have to figure, how do I keep Eddie in my life? Please. I got to keep these people in my life. All right. Fuck. Jesus, how the hell did 2 hours just go by there? I haven't even really said anything. All right, so the good part about the newsletter is I think it summarizes nicely what we're seeing in the market. These things are popping. They're doing exactly, we got to get the symbol right. These things are doing exactly what is expected. The interesting thing is I don't actually think we are in a new bull market yet for crypto. we're just setting the base now. That's the irony of all of this, people, is what should happen, like I said, kind of like what you see here. I mean, this cripple chart is actually textbook. And actually, it's even better than all these others because I had all those levels all drawn out so nicely. 38.2s of entire ranges. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. You want to see something super cool? Just based on, and this is a concept we teach for our advanced students. It's a little bit more advanced. I don't like the level ones to get into this because it can kind of fry their brain a little bit. But if we do a textbook 38.2 retracement, according to harmonics, and actually we saw this out of Bitcoin before too. So you can see here's 38.2 to 61.8 retracement. That's a crab. That should take us, if we do 38.2 to 88.6, that should take us all the way to 1.618, all the way up to 1.92. So where is that? There's the 38.2. You ready? This is going to get crazy. That is, and actually that's just off of this range, eh? Just kind of, and actually interesting how this 877 is floating out here because I think that's going to be relevant. So that's X to A, if I'm not mistaken. So X to A. There to there. Do extensions. Boom. 1.618 is totally right off the screen. 1.902, of course, you've all heard me, and any student of mine knows how much I love 2.0, or basically just replicating this range to the upside. Now, harmonicans, right, they were going to want to change this 2.0 to 1.90, whatever the hell it is. It's a really odd number. 902. How the hell they come up with that number, I have no idea. But anyway, as I said, I like to use 1.2, just thinking about extension and parking garage. This is just a replication of this range up top. But you can see there's where the harmonicans will be shooting if this is a very typical harmonic pattern. But what that does imply is that if this is the top, we need to come back to anywhere between, sorry, let's do the whole one. 38.2 to start with, and interesting enough, you can see how we're already kind of doing that now, but all the way potentially down to 88.6. And so this is the opportunity for your reload, right? So we go back to that harmonics, right? You can see we can correct the B to C 38.2 all the way down to 88.6. So that means that we could potentially correct anywhere in this window. And, as I've said here repeatedly, I'm the type of guy, I'm a cheap ass. I don't like to spend money. I like to buy the bottom ends of ranges. So there's 88.6. And, as I've said repeatedly to you guys, I would be more than happy. And this actually is another example. I think this is the original example where the market structure bottom is 78.6 there. So I'd be more than happy if I wasn't long, but I already am. But I'd be more than happy and to add to the trade if we can get any kind of W pattern down in here. And if that happens, then oh boy, all these social media influencers, they're hilarious. But look at that. That's $3.50 on Cripple. And where are we? This would be like 40 cents. So that's basically 10x. I mean, 10x is 10x is 10x. It's just sitting there. I don't know. Do you want to get rich? It's up to you. I can see this shit coming 100 miles away. Probably even, we could even map it out. Boom, boom, boom. Probably happens somewhere right up in here. And you might actually, this would make sense for our end of 26 or end of 25, beginning 26 kind of rally window. That would make sense. Somewhere up in that area there. So anyway, stay tuned, folks. Never a dull moment. This might take a couple cycles. I mean, maybe This cycle we peak there, and then you have to do another one, and it's actually out there where that hits. That's possible. You never know. But the point here is, if cheap ass Brian is willing to come in and buy down here, should I be able to get a risk-free trade up top here? Sure. Which means that I have no risk on ownership. You should technically have no risk on ownership now. And I might just let some go up here just to get that risk-free position. I don't know. I'm humming and hawing. Do I want to have a banging out doubles tweet? If so, I got to move my coins over to an exchange that actually lists them. And it's actually interesting to, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Coinbase has now relisted Cripple based on that judge's decision. So did this rally and produce this risk-free trade because technically it was washed out? Or did it and it was due for this bounce, 38.2's first stop target, blah, 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 blah. Or did it do it because of the judge? And that's almost like the chicken and egg kind of thing. Which comes first? Does the tail wag the dog or does the dog wag the tail? I don't give a shit. All I want to do is make money for trading. So learn this stuff, people. You want to see one that's happening? And we'll finish off the video today. We'll do a nice deep dive into commitments to traders reports tomorrow. I'll add that questioning document. Why don't we leave off the video with an asset that's actually doing this as we speak? And this is one that a guy that I respect in the crypto space a lot, Chico Crypto, although I don't think that is his real name. But hell, we'll even do it. We'll do it on the on KuCoin. What the hell? Can you see this bottom coming in now? I mean, I can see it. I'm not necessarily. I'm certainly not predicting. I'm not guaranteeing. I'm not doing anything like that. Is Brian long? Yes. Could I see, and where are 38.2s? I don't know how the hell this is going to happen, but could we see a 38.2 bounce to get yourself, where the hell's 38.2? All the way up there. Get yourself a risk-free trade. It's sitting at $2 right now. Could we get a pop to $4, $5, $6 to get that risk-free trade? I think so. Interesting if we go off of this M top. Hey, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. That's a honky singing. Yeah, Brian, nut job. So, this would be sort of like me coming back to you on November of 2022 and saying, you know what? You probably ought to take a serious look at Litecoin. This is me coming to you in like January, February of 23 and saying, you probably ought to take a good look at XRP and take a good look at XLM and all those names. It's the same shit, different file. I really love this name. I think it's a sexy looking little name down here. But I don't care whether you buy this or not. I really don't care. In fact, don't buy it. I don't want to hear that a single person here watching this video today bought this. That's how much I care whether you subscribe to my newsletter, if you want to come and learn the process works. That's why we built the school. And that's why the damn school program is so ridiculously cheap. I think it's incredible value. You want to learn how to play this game? I will tout to you that I don't think anybody in this space actually teaches the process even remotely as close and as good as TRI teaches you it. I see lots of people show me, hey, look at, like the Stellar Lumens. God, I see tons of people like that, or even the Cripple, right? I see tons and tons of people, go, hey, look, I bought here, and look at, I sold here, look at me, I'm the man, come and sign up for my service. But that's not teaching you the process. That's not teaching you what goes into your trading plan. How do you set yourself up for success? How do professionals actually come up with half decent trade ideas? What are some of the different tools that you can use to identify the 3 different criteria that I think is absolutely critical for a half decent trade idea? Let's see if you guys can even tell me. I sure hope so. I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. Let's see if any of you can. What are the three criteria? First word starts with an L, second word starts with an I, and actually it's two words. So third word starts with an M and starts with three words. I don't hear anybody anywhere talk about this shit. It's remarkable. Hey, well, their TBG's got one. That's good. 10 years of effort. I got one guy saying one of the words. Woohoo! Andre nailed it over there on YouTube. All right. I mean, the school program is the shit. I absolutely love it. And I will tout that till the day I die. And I love the instructor that we have there in our level one program. I think he's an absolute angel. And anything that I can do to help all of these people at TRI continue on their way. The guy that actually helps me do this video on a weekly basis, and he should be telling me, Brian, shut the hell up. You got to get off to Liam now. But I will never, ever, ever tell you what to buy or sell in the marketplace. Full disclosure, I'm long. You should all look at this chart and go, yeah, that's the kind of chart that's got Beamish written all over it. I can also tell you too, for fun, I went and bought a whole bunch of this crazy ass thing. But I don't expect any of you to buy this. Look at that. Man, what a good quality investment. Right? I went and bought a whack of this. But why? Well, you can see they're basically giving it away. That's why I absolutely love. In fact, actually, this one doesn't have momentum or structure yet. I just love the name because it's so fucking cheap. I'll tell you what I do, but I'm not telling you what to do with your money. So anyway, yeah, this one's almost impossible to buy. You're absolutely right. It took some finesse. And Cole, if you're really motivated and you want to pick a chunk of this up, let's hook you up in their Discord, and I'll hook you up with Alex. And actually, Alex and I probably ought to do a video. In fact, actually, we've got the Coinage show coming up this Wednesday. Maybe I'll reach out to Alex and see if he wants to join us. But this is a good example where 99% of the public would look at this and go, "Why on earth would you buy something that looks like that?" And Brian looks at it and goes, "Ooh, awesome." But I'm not telling you to buy this. So don't just blindly look at the screen. Oh, Brian likes that. I'm buying it. Just remember, Brian's a little bit of a weirdo. So. Okay, I got to get the hell out of here. I'm just bugging you, TBG. You're awesome. Actually, I did see somebody posting in the lounge today that El Salvador development is going absolutely crazy right now. So I did find that kind of interesting. You better get a place before they fit everything up to the roof. Okay, all right. So great to see you guys are already reading my mind. You guys are awesome. Oh, cool, Richard. Okay, PM me. I'll buy that off you. I don't mind. So heading off to Liam now. It's a little bit past 1 o'clock. If you could all just give us a nice little karmic wish. If you got any value out of the rants, and Richard, feel free to PM me on the site. I'll be more than happy to figure out a way to take that shit off you. Wish us good karmic luck. And I actually did this the other day. When was that? Guess it was on Thursday. Anyway, I wasn't able to wish us karmic luck last week, and Liam was in a really bad mood. So it must work, people. So everybody just take a moment and Liam, just be happy today. That's my wish for you. Just be a happy guy. If you got any value out of this video, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified when the next one comes up. Although I don't think Google does that with our videos. We'd like to try and figure out how to get the monetization thing going back up and running on this channel. I must have said something horribly controversial recently and they got all angry at me. I don't know what it is. If you want to learn the process, right? It's 2023. I've told you repeatedly, 2023 is the accumulation year. If you don't believe me, let's see. Josh, who is our blog writer, actually came along and oh, look at that. We've been knocked down to number 2. When Josh did this, actually, we were like number 1 on the Google hit list, but these guys actually have come along. It'd be really interesting if they actually stole Josh's image of this. That would be fascinating. I think they did, because this is not the original document. It did not go out to 2053. So isn't that fascinating? These guys who have actually stole, look at this, Wealth Management Canada, of all people. Canadians are supposed to have ethics. What the fuck? These guys should be sued into the ground. Anyway, I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. But Josh did an absolutely brilliant job on this, and he even updated this and took this out into the future. But why did you sell this or something? Is that what happened, Josh? Why are you saying sorry? Anyway, you can see what 2023 is. It's right here. In fact, actually, I think he even zoomed in on it, which is so awesome. There's the original document. I don't think it went out to 2023 or 53 like that. So fascinating. Yeah, that's it. They should be saying this. They really should. They, at the very least, they should acknowledge you, Josh. I don't really care too much about TRI, but you went to the great effort to actually put this together. But anyway, on one of the blog posts that Josh did, he actually even zoomed right in on 23. I think it was this one. And I'm going to leave the video off with that image right there. I mean, do yourself a favor, people. Seriously, just this is the accumulation year. You got to buy when others are crying and sell when others are yelling. And I want to finish the video off with this 2 words. Who knows this? Write it in the comments. I want to see everybody write this. 2 words that you must follow or you're going to get fucked in this game. Don't what? And everybody over there on YouTube to write the 2 words out. Okay, there's the first word, and thank you. Very good. Nicely done. But I want to see everybody type the 2 words as an affirmation that you're listening to Brian. Don't do what Donnie Don't does. You are not allowed to something. In fact, on the blog post, and I'm supposed to shut the hell up. I got to get out of here. So I'm done. Don't chase. Thank you, Cheryl. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best. Hugs and kisses. And bye for now.